Hey, good morning, everybody. Let me find us. Here we are. Hey, good morning, everybody. I'm glad you're here. Happy Monday. Happy quarantine, self isolation. I'm sure that the stress is getting to be a little bit high for people, and you're getting a little bit tired of this. And probably the toxic relationships that you're starting to get on each other's nerves and edges even more. And so this is a stressful time for a lot of people because there isn't just the isolation that's involved, but there's also all of the anxieties and the fears. And the people who are working more, and their stress level is, through the roof because of that. And then the people who aren't working, they're working less and they have less to keep them busy. It's almost like it's been a flip flop. The people who like to be busy haven't been busy enough, and the people who don't like to be busy, like me, are busier than a one-armed paper hanger, as my family used to say. So today we're talking about narcissists and tactical empathy. I'm Rita Hickman. I'm a body mind expert and a shiatsu massage therapist, and I take all those gifts and skills and I use them to help women get out of narcissistic and toxic relationships, whether they stand up for themselves, whether they speak their truth, whether they're thinking of a divorce in the middle, at the end of a divorce, whether they need some support through that process, whether they had a relationship that ended up being a heartbreak and you're healing from that. Maybe you've got narcissists in your family, your mother or your father or a cousin or a brother. Most women who end up in narcissistic relationships have some level of trauma in their background that maybe they've worked on or worked through, but their body still reacts. They still get hooked in. It's not quite finished yet. And that's when I come in. I come in and I teach you tools like tactical empathy. So I've been watching a masterclass, and masterclass is an app where you can learn from people who are, experts in their field. Anything from Judy Bloom to Wolfgang Puck to Santana, they do master classes. And the master class that I've been taking has been with Chris Voss. And Chris Voss is a hostage negotiator. And the reason that I'm so attracted to this class is because hostage negotiation is a lot like what you go through when you are in a narcissistic relationship. You are being held hostage by your own self, by your own body, your own reactions. You're being held hostage by the narcissist. You're being held hostage by the situation. You can't leave. You have children. You don't have a job. You don't have security in yourself or trust in yourself. There's no place else for you to go. Maybe you don't have a community and a support network. And you're being held hostage. And so I was really drawn to this masterclass because I know what that's like. I know what it's like to be held hostage in relationships with people who can't respect you. And I absolutely grew up with a lot of those feelings and thoughts, and how to get through them because they keep hooking you back. So, what is tactical empathy? Well, you're probably already an empath. Most people who are empaths end up in relationships at some point in time with narcissists. That's because our empathy overtakes our sense of self preservation. We learned or were taught or taught ourselves when we were young that the best way to get out of a situation when you're really helpless is to figure out a way to get along, figure out a way to get along with people, to feel sorry for them, to help them feel better. And if they feel better, then maybe they'll be nice to us. But as time goes by, you start to realize that you're an adult. You're an adult with power. You're not a child anymore. You're not small. But that doesn't mean you have to get rid of your empathy. A lot of programs or advice out there is about cutting off your empathy, cutting off who you are. And for a lot of empaths, it's not possible. You're just empathic. It's the way that you are. You feel other people's feelings. You're sensitive to them. You have a high level of compassion. You're willing to sacrifice yourself for other people. And empathy is one of the most beautiful gifts that we are given. It's the ability to feel connected to other people. So, why would you want to get rid of this? Instead, let's use your empathy as a way to help you get what you need, as a way to help you stand up for yourself, as a way to help shape all of your relationships so they aren't so toxic. If you can't go, you can still shape them so they're not so awful and volatile and emotionally violent. There's still many things that you can do, and tactical empathy is one of them, which I never really had words for before I was watching this hostage negotiation class, and I said, aha, this is what empathy probably got, you beat up and manipulated and gaslighted and taken advantage of, and you were left vulnerable because of your empathy. That's because you're missing an important piece, which is the tactical part. So most narcissists are dealing with some sort of mental health issue: depression, anxiety, complex PTSD, underdeveloped amygdala, a variety of things, bipolar, ADD, ADHD. They're dealing with things inside of them, physical things inside of them, which makes it difficult for them to manage how they feel. And if you add in any sort of trauma, then you're not only out of control of how you feel, but the things that you feel are very helpless and violent and insecure. Kind of the road that you end up going down as an empath when you get traumatized over and over and over. You start to become shaped into someone who is frightened, like, an animal in a shelter who's cornered. Now, a narcissist doesn't seem like this. That's because they've developed a lot of coping skills that help them deal with this high level of insecurity and anxiety. And one of their main ones is to find relationships that they feel comfortable allowing their anger and their hurt and their insecurities and their fears to make the decisions in the relationship. So when a narcissist is triggering, and it seems like they're coldly logical coming after you, that is a great time for your natural empathy, but tactical empathy. Tactical empathy is when you use empathy to gather more information. You don't take anything that the person is saying personally. You don't allow what they have to say to push your buttons, because you know that they are mentally impaired in some way, that they are emotionally impaired in some way, and that you're talking to someone who, no matter how successful they are in the rest of their lives, people who are emotionally healthy do not behave like narcissists behave. So your absolute rule of thumb should be: this person is impaired. This person is struggling with something. How do I find out more information, if nothing else, so I can get the hell out of here, so I can avoid it? Because you know that if you don't find a way to rescue yourself, you learned a long time ago that no one else is going to come in and rescue you. No one's going to save you. So you have to save yourself. One of the ways that you do it is going no contact, giving yourself that space, that breathing room. But the other one is tactical empathy, which is where you put your feelings aside and you use your empathy to get the other person to talk about what's going on in their mind, to talk about what they're thinking, no matter what horrible thing it is. You do this to me. You're a horrible person. Why do you do this to me? It's all your fault. You make me do this. You're a liar. Whatever they may say that you're taking personally is an expression of what they're going through inside of themselves. It really has nothing to do with you. It has to do with their own issues and fears around something. So tactical empathy is when you keep enough objectivity that you can use your empathy to bring out information. And if you can help someone label how they feel: oh, you seem to feel frustrated. Oh, you seem to feel angry about something. Why don't you tell me about it? Just like you might with your kids, just like you might with your grandparents. They aren't a threat. You have to look at the narcissist as in, you are the one with the power. And why are you the one with the power? Because you're not the one being triggered. A lot of times a narcissist They behave the way that they do because they get triggered. And we all know that when you're triggered, you're not in your right mind. When you can avoid being triggered, then you are the one in charge of the conversation. And you can help dial the panic and the insecurity and the overwhelm and the drama down. And the way you help dial the drama down is just like if you were working with any kid. You listen to them. Oh, you sound frustrated. You seem aggravated. And then you help them label it. Um, what are you frustrated about? You seem irritated. There seems to be more to this problem than meets the eye. Why didn't you tell me more about it? If you can work on yourself and get the support that you need from therapists and friends and support groups and information, and you work through your emotions, you're able to use tactical empathy. You don't have to cut your empathy off. You don't have to stop caring. In fact, you care more because you not only care about the narcissist, you also care about yourself. You care about both. And so instead of, being in a conflict of where you're enemies, you actually sort of rise above and you address the issue head on. And I know it's scary because you don't know what happens if you're going to address the issue head on. You don't know. You have no idea. But let me tell you, when you start learning how to address the elephant in the room early on, before it becomes scary, before it becomes emotionally or physically violent, when you can address it very quickly, even before a narcissist knows that there's a problem, you can usually course correct. Most narcissists don't want to be narcissists. They don't want to be. They don't want to go around ruining all of their relationships and ending up alone, but they think they have no choice. And so really, you personally are the one who are in charge of the communication. You're the one who can make a difference. And whether it's making the difference of leaving and going no contact so that you both can get settled, because that will settle people down when they're not continuing to be poked. Or when you have the wherewithal and the groundedness and the support and the clarity of thought, and you've worked through your emotions, that you can stand there and say, you seem angry. What's going on? And what you start to find is that most narcissists, they're bullies. They are extremely mean when they feel pushed to the wall. They're extremely mean when they feel triggered or out of control or victimized in some way, because isn't a narcissist always feeling victimized? When they feel victimized in some way, they're in a reactionary, unstable state, which means that if you're able to stay in a balanced state, then you can help you both get out of the situation without it spiraling down and becoming some sort of nightmarish, ugly, emotionally violent, vindictive, painful victimization. It doesn't have to go that way. I know you think you don't have a lot of options, but you do. It doesn't have to go that way. It can actually go down where you both walk away and everybody's okay. You aren't victimized and the narcissist is back down to a level, because you can't change them. There's no changing a narcissist because typically their underlying issues are physical. They have physical things. They have to decide that they want to address those. And if they're still in an unstable state, they aren't going to want to address those. But if you're able to help bring it down and show a narcissist that you don't have to communicate that way, everything doesn't have to be a fight, that you do have rights, you aren't there to be victimized. When you start finding that balance of tactical empathy, which involves empathy for the other person and empathy for you, it means that you don't allow yourself to be victimized even by your own anger or frustration, and that you kind of take charge of the situation. Being in a relationship with a narcissist can really bring forth your leadership skills and your intelligence and your social skills. It can really help develop those because they're a problem to be solved. The threat is not the other person. The threat is the situation that you're in, is the situation of someone who's emotionally imbalanced and volatile, and someone who is so empathetic that they're willing to sacrifice themselves in order to kind of keep the peace. They can feel what's going on and they want to calm it down and dial it down as soon as possible. Now, what that requires is things which are counterintuitive. You know, when you're threatened and you're small and you're helpless, the important thing to do is to hide because you can't protect yourself. But when you're an adult, that switch needs to flip and you become someone who respects themselves and loves themselves enough that they don't allow themselves to be victimized by a narcissist anymore, because you have the tools in place, because you have the intelligence in place, the wisdom and the experience that lets you be the one in control, lets you be the one in charge. And when that happens, maybe you leave, maybe you stay, maybe they're worth it, maybe they're not worth it. But either way, you're able to get out of there safely and you're able to get some of the things that you need. Okay. So if you're interested, look up Chris Voss on Masterclass for hostage negotiation. I highly recommend it. And learning how to communicate with people who are emotionally unstable, which is a narcissist. So yeah, please share these videos with other women if you think they're dealing with toxic relationships. Please reach out if you need support, because I help you with the body mind piece, the nervous system, the triggering, the amygdala, you know, as well as how to have tactical empathy so that it works for both of you and you don't have to cut off your right arm. You don't have to pretend like you're not an empath when you really are. Okay. So have a great rest of your day. I hope you have a great Monday, and I'll see you tomorrow. Bye.